All right, welcome back to another video. I'm going to be shooting my Black Widow PCH. This is a 60 inch. People always ask what my bows are, so that's why I'm mentioning it. And it's 40 pounds at my jaw length, which is 26 inches. I'm going to shoot around today, and I'm actually going to talk about how I personally like to shoot a traditional bow. So there's obviously a lot of different ways to shoot a traditional bow, and really there's not one right way to do it, and really no way's wrong as long as you're happy with it, and as long as you're shooting as accurately as you want. People always ask my gear, so I just like going over it, but I'm shooting out of this bow right now, this Safari Tough Taipan 600 spine. I have about 275 total up front, 3 fletch, 4-inch feather, and then the AAE IP knock. And they weigh around 460 grains. I'm just getting my stuff together, and then we're gonna go out on the range. I'm gonna shoot a few shots just so you can kind of see my process in action. And then I'll kind of talk about it and go through it, and we'll see how it goes. And, you know, like I said, some people like to snap shoot, some like to hold at anchor. I personally came from a compound bow, shot a lot of competitive archery with a compound bow. So I personally love to aim. It's one of my favorite things about archery is the actual aim. So I do hold a while, and then in hunting situations, I can hold on a deer for a while or execute my shot quicker if need be for whatever situation. So that's just how I personally do it. Let's go on the range and shoot some arrows. All right, here's the first shot. Maybe I should show this actually. Okay, here's the first target here. Downhill shot, I'm gonna shoot from there. Only have a ground type tripod, so some of these shooting angles might look a little strange. Okay, we got a pronghorn here. I always think about setting my feet first, even when I'm in the deer stand. I always mentally think about that, make sure I'm perpendicular. Then I personally think of the yardage before I shoot. Some people, I think it's called gap instinctive. They just like look at the target and, you know, fix the gap however far it is. I actually like to have a number in my head. So it looks to be about, I'm gonna say 14, 15 yards. So that automatically puts a picture in my brain of what my gap looks like. So how far below the target or where I wanna hit my arrow will be. That's the first thing I'm doing, and that happens very quickly. Then after my feet are set, which that's your foundation of the shot, so that's super important, I set my release hand on the string, which then allows me to set my grip here. And then mentally, I think I go through my shot mentally. I say something like, I'm gonna make a controlled shot, and now I'm ready to go. So I'm gonna draw, do my anchor. I do feather to the nose initially, let off just about an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch, set my gap, and then I say, here I go, and I start pulling. Pull, 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 pull. And then when the feather hits my nose the second time, the shot fires. That was a lot to say, and I was at full draw a while, but that's generally what I'm doing here. You can see it hit bottom of the 10 ring, it looks. But here's another shot with no talking. Very nice. All right, let's pull those. So yes, bottom of the 10 ring. This one's actually an 8. This is a outside 10 line. But not too bad at all. Definitely kill shots. So on to the next. Okay, as I get further down this range, I'm just gonna go into more detail. So release hand, I'm using the Yost tab here. I like to put the tab finger holder as far back on my finger as possible. So I'll do that. And then this actual tab whatever you call it, it's all the way down on my hand. It's pretty far down actually, on even onto the palm of my hand. So it's like that. I trim my tab where it's a little bit past my fingers when I have them curled. So I do a pretty deep hook. I have tried different ways and that's what I like. So when I hook up on the string, you can see that it's actually past this first joint on my index finger, like that. And then at full draw, my hand will actually be a little bit slanted, so the string will be barely hanging, and you might be able to see the callus there, but it's just barely on this last finger. And this one has like the least amount of string pressure. This holds most of it, probably like 70% of it, maybe even 80, a little bit more here, and then the least here. So when I set my release hand, it's pretty deep, and this is what it looks like at full draw. I think I'll be able to show this. Kind of on a hill here. Yeah, you can see how it's a little bit, it's deep on this first finger, a little less here, and then barely on the finger there. So that's how I set my release hand. Well, let's shoot this next target. Okay, this one is right there. Tiny little coyote. It looks a little high, but not bad. Yep, a little high, top of the 8. Okay, quickly on the grip, because this one's pretty simple, and probably most people know this, but you have the lifeline on your hand here, which is this crease here. I like to do mine like this. Like if you're just telling someone to stop, I mean, it's just like that. That's where I put mine typically. Like a longbow, you might shoot like this. I like to do it like this on my recurves. You don't want too less because then you don't have any backing on that grip. So I like to have it right down the middle of the palm there, or middle of this meaty part of your hand. And then my arm is pretty much in a line there, so it's just a good strong setup there. And then I typically try to do at least like 2 fingers on the front, because I've had bows jump out of my hand if I do it like that. But yeah, that's kind of how I do it. Now let's shoot this stressful target here. This is what I mean by stressful. Groundhog in the tree. Okay, right there. Okay. Shot felt okay, but I hit it. Okay, I'm gonna talk through this one out loud. So I'm gonna load my arrow, get my tab set, swat some mosquitoes. Now I'm kind of judging yardage. Okay, got a number in my head. You can see how I automatically did it, but I put my tab on the string, set my release hand, then I set my grip. Oh, double bit by mosquito. Tab on the string, automatically set my grip. Now I'm gonna tell myself I'm gonna shoot a controlled shot no matter what. Draw. Then I'm gonna set my gap. Then I'm gonna say, my feather touched my nose, so I set my gap. Then I'm gonna say, here I go. Then I'm gonna pull, 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 pull. And then the feather touches my nose again, shot fires. It's hard to shoot and talk, but here's another, but without talking. Oh, mosquito. Jeez, they are so bad out here. I should have brought the Thermacell. Let's do one more. I can like hear them, feel them. Okay. That was a perfect one. Okay. Let's keep rolling. Boom. One of the most important things I've learned with shooting archery is setting my front shoulder here. That's just makes my draw length way more consistent. It kind of locks this arm down, so whenever I am pulling through my shot, I'm just pulling here rather than pulling like this, which is like an endless feeling. So how I do that is in my shot process, I set my release hand, set my grip, and when I'm setting my grip here, if you do a little bit of down pressure on that grip to help set your grip, you're also gonna set that front shoulder. So I have my release hand here. You can see there's a little bit of tension on the string. Set my grip, and my shoulder goes in a downward position. Then when I draw, you just bring your arm straight up. You don't bring your shoulder up with it. That makes it very difficult to be consistent. So set my grip, set my shoulder, and you can see it's in a down position. You can usually see if your shoulder's up, looks like that, shoulder down is like that. It's kind of hard to show, but yeah, that is one of the best things I ever learned was setting that front shoulder. I also like to make sure my back shoulder's set. I'm kind of terrible about remembering that. Front shoulder. Boom. That works good. Okay, here's another angle of my shot. That one was quick, didn't like it. Oh, that one was really good. Okay, let's show the actual target. That was a good group. All right. Okay, my shot execution, probably the most important part. What I like to do is feather to the nose. That is my trigger. So something somewhat special maybe I do is a check-in, and what I mean by that, and I could just go ahead and show it, is when I first get to anchor, I immediately do feather to the nose, and that's just a starting point for me so that I know I'm at the same draw length every time, so that it'll look like this. So I'm gonna draw, anchor, and then touch immediately. Then I let off about 1/4 inch, and then I say, here I go, and then I start executing until it touches a second time. The second time it touches, that is my trigger to fire the shot. The reason I do the check-in is because it lets me know I'm at the same draw length starting point every time. I like that because when I didn't do the check-in, sometimes I might be, way off from my nose. and then it feels like forever until you get there, or I might be too close and then my shot just goes off super quick. So it just gives me consistency with shot timing, and I make sure I'm not like extremely short drawing like on a downhill, uphill shot, or maybe just a regular shot. So that's what I do, is feather to the nose. Once it touches the second time, that is my trigger to fire. It also, helps with making sure your draw length is really close to the same. So I got a target right here. Hopefully you can see it from that angle, the feather to the nose. But here's my shot execution. So when I have a trigger like that, that really helps my shot execution. I like pulling through shot because it makes my shot feel strong. If I don't have a trigger, I might collapse, do micro collapses, and then I hit low right. Just pulling through my shot really helps me personally to get a strong shot, stay at my anchor on the execution, and just feels right. So that is what I do. And then just because I'm doing the trigger, my hand just kind of naturally comes off the string really clean for me anyways. So that's what I do there. All right, this is gonna be my last shot. It's a bedded doe or half rack right there. And it's a brushy shot, but when there's obstacles in the way, I just follow my mental game plan and just execute as good of a shot as possible. So here we go. Some days I can shoot good, and that was a good shot. Let's go check it out to finish up this video. Oh, it was perfect. I love that feeling. Right there. Good one to end on. Okay, I hope you can at least gather something from this video. You might use parts of what I do, none of it at all. Whatever works for you. But yeah, traditional archery is fun. It's awesome. It's really fun to figure out your personalized shot and kind of hear how other people do it. I listen a lot to how other people shoot, and that's kind of how I've compounded how I execute a shot. So with that being said, thanks for watching again. You guys are awesome, and we'll see you next time.